Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Hey, Braves Country! Braves Country HD is bringing you Braves Country Baseball. Braves Country comes to you every Tuesday night and Friday night, and 2 bonus games every week. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we'll be bringing you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves. It's free to listen. Please like and subscribe. YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country Baseball for the fans, by the fans.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey, and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Braves Country today. We're talking Southern sports. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Braves Country today, Southern sports talk with the voice of Braves Country baseball, Mac McGee. Joined every day from sports analysts from all over Braves Country, talking college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and what's trending in the world of sports. Braves Country today. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com/Braves Country.
Armchair.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Why did you get so drunk?
You got drunk. I'm just really exhausted.
What's in that cup?
Aroma Cokes.
Do you have any idea how important this is? We're trying to save the pub cup. Really, this is what you're doing?
Chief, what do you want to do tonight?
Same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair. YouTube Live.
Radio station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station?
I like everything. It's always on my radio.
We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, and simulcasting on YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon. I'm Mac McGee. I don't know much, but I know one thing. Woo! Turnabout is fair play. We're putting it on the Yankees this week. How about that? How about that?
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man with a groove in his head.
Yeah, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? Hope you're having a great day here in Braves Country as the Atlanta Braves win yet another one. And this one was a little different than the night before where we put 11 on the board, ran away with it. This one was just a solid baseball outing. Now, you had the 2 big home runs, the first one by Marcell Ozuna, the second one by Ronald Acuna Jr., and how about both of them go to dead center? Both of them, if you combine, well, it's what StatCast said. I mentioned on the broadcast, the one by Ronald Acuna Jr. did not look 420. It barely cleared the 400 wall. In fact, the center fielder jumped and missed it by a couple of feet. Probably went over his glove by a foot at the most. But regardless, if you go by the StatCast number, was 800 and about 870 feet is essentially what it came down to. Marcell Ozuna's blast was at 440, high 440. I think it was 442, somewhere in that neighborhood. Anyway, you look at it, it's still counted for 3 runs. It was a 3-run shot. And then Acuna comes up with the Braves leading 3-0 and gets a 2-run bomb. And the Braves go on to win that one in pretty, I'm not going to say easy fashion, but it never felt threatened. It never felt threatened because Bryce Elder went out there and pitched himself a ball game. Now, the game that Elder had yesterday wasn't something that was going to blow you away per se as far as the overall numbers. You're going to look at the numbers. You're going to say, I mean, did he? Did he have a great game? Well, when you shut a team out and you only give up 1 hit, you love that. What is concerning still with Bryce Elder is that he gave up 3 walks. He only struck out 3. You don't like the 1-to-1 strikeout to walk scenario, but Elder's never been a big-time strikeout guy. And if you look at the fact that 2 of the walks were to Aaron Judge, and the other was to Stanton, I'm going to say this. Bryce Elder got an early lead, and Bryce Elder pitched around danger. Now, I would prefer, and I mentioned it when it was 3-0, I mentioned it when it was 5-0. I would prefer him to go after him because you go out there and you walk a guy, and then you get a little aggressive with the next guy. That's just human nature, and he slams one over the building, and then next thing you know, it's a 2-run shot. It's a 3-run shot. They're back in the game. But anyway you look at it, that's the way that he approached it, and it worked out for him, and the Atlanta Braves win a big, big game just to get some momentum going. It's not big overall in the standings per se, but it gets the momentum going. And the Atlanta Braves magic number is 31. 31, how about that? So they get the magic number down to 31 as far as for the best record in baseball. If you woke up and checked the score this morning, you saw that the Padres put it on the Orioles and beat them 10-3. So the magic number to win the division is 31. Remember, we got a lot of games to play left. We're now 12.5 in front of Philadelphia in the division. And the magic number to get the best record in baseball, home field advantage throughout the playoffs, who right now we're looking at Baltimore. We'll talk more about that in a second. We're 3.5 in front of them, 4.5 in front of the Dodgers, and 5.5 in front of Texas. But that number is now 40. 40. Lordy, Lordy, look who's 40. It is our magic number to bring it all down. So, you love the direction they're going. Yeah, we stumbled a little bit last week. We split 2 in Pittsburgh. Realistically, if you split a 4-game series on the road against any Major League Baseball team, it's not looked upon as Debbie Downer time. But we have become a very, very spoiled fan base. And for good reason, this is the best team in baseball. We just want them to go out there and prove it. I think it's one of those things where when you're a fan, one of the things you're looking at the most more than anything else is that you do not want to have a situation where you have a season as good as this and you don't at least bring home the pennant. Because this, look, I understand that we went out and won the World Series in 2021. But we had Dansby and we had Freddie. And A couple other guys that are no longer on the team as well, but those are the two big names. This team feels like a new era per se because of those two. And I would love to see this team. I would love to see Matt Olson get a World Series ring. I'd love to see Ronald Acuna Jr. get a ring while playing and participating. I know he technically got his ring, but even he'll tell you it ate him up that he wasn't on the field. He wants to win it. He wants to participate in it, right? You want to see other guys get rings that have never gotten a ring. You want to see, look, I know they technically gave Spencer Strider a ring. Spencer Strider pitched a couple of relief innings in the last days of the season, games that were absolutely meaningless. He wants to get a ring where he's involved. Bryce Elder wants to get a ring. Raziel Iglesias wants to get a ring. So even though we won it just 2 seasons ago, this team is much different, and you're going to get to see guys do this. They get the championship. As fans, we love it. We eat it up. We embrace it. We get lost in the game. But when you take a step back and almost do it from a glance from above, you take yourself out of you just take yourself out of it and you say, hey, I'm a fan of the game, I'm a fan of the team. When you get a chance to look at these guys and you get to see their celebration and what it means to them afterwards, after the dust is settled. I'm talking about the parade in November. I'm talking about when they give the rings out on opening weekend the next year, opening day, whenever they decide to do it. I think the last time, so in 2021, what they did was they turned that into an entire weekend. They hosted the Reds. I was there for the game. It was a Saturday night game when they gave out the rings. I was not there for opening night. We were actually doing the game. We just started Braves Country Baseball, the YouTube radio vintage style play-by-play that we do. And I had gone through the back end of the 2021 season. We decided, you know what, we're going to do it this year. We're going to do it the entire year. We're going to bring you all of October. And at the time, that's why you'll hear some of the older commercials. I just haven't edited them out. I'm so busy. I go, keep meaning to whatever. But originally, we were doing Tuesdays and Fridays. That's it. I was bringing y'all the first game of the series or one game of the series in each series they did. And in 2021 or 22, decided, all right, we're going to go and we're going to bring you Tuesdays and Fridays and maybe sprinkle in one, maybe even two. And then that has morphed into us bringing you every game Monday through Saturday and even some Sunday games depending on the start time. It really comes down to, I talked about this before in the past. If this ever becomes a venture where I can put a couple other things off to the side and don't have to do extra work, I'll bring you every single game, but we got to get the likes up, we got to get the views up. Until then, I got to have a family day, right? Sorry, not sorry. So that's why you'll hear the clips will say, we bring you Tuesday night and Friday night and a couple of bonus games. We do a hell of a lot more than that now. That was just what we cut at the beginning of the year. And that's it was a Thursday night. I remember watching it. I remember how cool it was, and they raised the banner. I thought that was cool. Then I found out we'd already bought the tickets. I had no idea what we were about to see. But we showed up in Atlanta on Friday night, got in there kind of late afternoon, early evening, so we didn't get to go to the game. Me and my wife decided to just eat dinner like right outside the stadium in the Battery. I don't remember what restaurant it was. I remember the food was pretty good. The best damn cheese dip I've ever had in my life. So well done, so smart on what they did. I think we're going to make that a part of. I think we're going to do that as one of the tailgating meals that we do this year. This year, I haven't talked about it a whole lot, but every single week, and I'm not positive what day we're going to do it on, but we're going to drop a really quick video on our YouTube channel. We'll talk through it, so if you're listening on radio, you'll still get something out of it. But if you really want to see it, it's a very quick video. But we're going to teach you how to cook some tailgating food. And it'll be in direct response to who's playing that weekend. We're going to take a big football game and say, hey, here's what you want to do. Been in the restaurant business for quite some time. Don't talk about it a whole lot on the show because it's normally not relevant. But long time ago, was in the restaurant business and would do radio on the side. Now it's the exact opposite. But certified executive chef, and I've been doing these ideas for football watching parties for, if I'm being honest, 25 to 30 years now. When we have football watching parties, especially the Super Bowl, you hear me talk a lot about during Super Bowl week, we make a menu, and that menu is based on the teams in the Super Bowl. Well, what we're going to do is each week we're going to help you, give you some ideas, because most of the stuff we're going to teach is not very difficult. I'm not going to go in and get into the weeds on how to flambe something, right? It's not going to be something where you're going to be going, God, I don't even know if I can do this. It's going to be very simple things to execute, but they'll be good and they'll be relevant to the big game of the weekend. So there you have that. But got sidetracked. The Friday night we ate outside the stadium, and then Saturday we went to the game, and that happened to be the night they gave the rings away. We didn't have that pre-planned. We just wanted to go to we usually go to one series a year, excuse me. This year we went to Boston. A lot of times we go to Atlanta, but we do like to try to make it to Atlanta or to Truist Park once a year. If not, we want to go see the Braves in a different city. And this Saturday game, they happen to be giving the rings away. And I did not think, and I talked to a good buddy of mine that was sitting next to us at the game. At the time going into it, I did not think I was going to get as much out of what I saw pregame as what ended up opening up to me a floodgates of emotions. And I didn't get all weepy and everything, but I've got, man, I'm not going to lie. It really touched me to see these guys, to see their faces, the guys that really were in the grind win the World Series. See the looks on the faces of the guys who got their ring on the stage, on field. It was a pregame ceremony. And the looks on their faces and what the Braves did with their ring was incredible. If you've never looked that up, it's really easy to look up the Braves World Series ring. But it was phenomenal. The detail they went into. Maybe we'll break that down one day for folks who might have missed it. But the point is, as a fan, when you get to rooting for all of your teams, yeah, you get something out of the actual winning for you selfishly because you're like, oh, man, all this time pulling for him was worth it. I finally got to see him get to the pinnacle. I've always said when it comes to being a sports fan, no matter what sport you're watching, it's just like they say in a lot of things in life, it's not the destination, it's the journey. If you do this strictly to see a team win a championship, and that's all you get out of it, you live a very, very, very sad existence. The point of this whole thing is the journey to get there and the good times you have. Watching it with friends, the folks that are in the chat, I love seeing them excited. I love seeing them happy on a nightly basis when we lose. When we're losing, when we win, excuse me, I love seeing them with the happiness when we win. And when we lose as a family together. We complain together. We It's a way of venting. It's a way of a bit of sports therapy. But that's the point of this whole thing. But when the championships come, they're not giving us a ring. Now, you can go out and get one of the symbolic giveaways, and those are cool. I ended up getting one down the road. But they're not going to give you an actual ring because you didn't actually win the damn thing. But a lot of us fans feel like that we should get one because, by God, we were there for all the innings watching the ups and the downs. And the Braves do that for you. I will say that. They win the championship the next year. It was a few nights, 2 to 3 nights, that they gave away the replica rings, as they call it. And even the replica rings were really cool how they did them. Because all the stuff that opens up on the real rings, you could actually open up the replica ring. That's not normal. Trust me. Other teams, Major League Baseball, win the championship. The thought process that goes through the Atlanta Braves organization on how to do things and do it right, I am absolutely blown away by it every single day. They had a virtual experience the other day that they invited us into. It's just a Q&A, and they could have done it very simply. But instead, they take you into this world where you're standing right outside Truist Park. You can create the avatar. The avatar wasn't nearly as cool as watching. To me, what was fun about the whole thing, listening to the Q&A was cool. But watching all the people excited with their avatars running around virtually, jogging, doing all kinds of stuff, that's the fun stuff. And that's what makes baseball the best, and what makes the Braves, in my opinion, the Atlanta Braves organization the best. If someone does it better or as well, I don't know about it. I would love to learn about it because I love baseball, I love sports. But I have never seen an organization that goes out above and beyond the call of duty and makes the fan experience elite. And it's what makes, when people ask, man, you do this every day, you grind, you spend the entire, you do the ups and downs, you're doing the play-by-play, you're not getting a lot of gain out of this, like, when it's all said and done, it was worth the journey. The destination would be great if we get a World Series ring, but it's worth the journey as a fan to me. It just is. We get to see it night in and night out. Luckily, this team is really good, and we've had more ups and downs. The Atlanta Braves will go in today with, once again, the best record in baseball, 77-42. So when you're 33 games above 500, you're doing some special things. Charlie Morton's going to be on the bump for the Braves, and more on that in a minute. But I did want to play a couple of things for you. I think you'll get something out of this. First thing is Marcell Ozuna, and right after the game, just talking about, I love his energy. I love the way he puts things. We'll react to it here in a second.
Marcell, a perfect 2-for-2 night for you, 3 RBI, a couple walks. Your first pitch swinging against Severino. What were you looking for there?
I was looking the pitch over there and then swinging. He's already 2 out. I just want to put a good swing on it, and then I get it.
You have now gotten a hit in 13 straight games. What's been the key to your consistency at the plate?
Oh, the key is like coming every day, coming every day, ready to swing and ready to play the game, and then be happy in what happened right now with us, and then winning every single night. That's the key. It
does feel like you're winning every single night right now.
That's the key for us every day, coming ready to play the game and give it your best.
Tell me something. With all the historical marks this team keeps hitting, what is it like to be part of this offense?
We always unite. That's the most important thing. We unite and we give it our best. If I can do it, so my guy behind it does it. So I'm happy for that. So
tell me what it feels like to take 2 of what could be a sweep of the Yankees if you get it done tomorrow. It's
really amazing if we do that. But they have two game loss, and maybe they coming tomorrow for compete, and then we coming ready to compete too, and let's see if we can sweep the series.
So that was Marcell Ozuna, and look, they talk about it. You're going to hear about it here in a second from Snicker. They talk about all the time how beloved he is in that clubhouse. I know a lot of folks turned on Marcell, and rightfully so, because when you first got the first reports of what originally happened, it looked bad. The facts finally came out, and it appears that a lot of it was fabricated, and Marcell, there's a reason why his suspension was light, and there's a reason why Marcell didn't get into the trouble that we thought he was going to get into. And then the dust was starting to settle, and then he gets popped for the DUI, and no one would condone that. But you go into the circumstances of that, and you can kind of understand where that came from, because it really was ticky-tack what they got him on. And what came out of that whole thing that everyone still laughs about is that he tells the police, I'm Marcell Ozuna from the Braves, or I'm Ozuna from the Braves. Name dropping. It's still funny as hell. I don't care who you are. If you don't find that funny that you tried to name drop and it didn't work and they got it on video, you're not very fun at parties. You put on top of that he started out this year so bad, and we were all ready to see him DFA'd. If you said you weren't paying attention. But we did, though. I did keep saying at the time, man, you see him hitting the ball hard, but for whatever reason, he's not getting the ball down into play. And he cleaned up a couple things at his swing. You go back to that early Miami series in Miami. It was right before that series. I always thought it had something to do with him going back to where he was from and got comfortable, and then the rest is history. But he says he changed his approach going into that series with the batting coach, Seitzer, and excuse me. And the rest really has been history. I've been clamoring for weeks now, if you've been listening to Braves Country Baseball, that Marcell Ozuna needed to be hitting behind Matt Olson. And we saw it last night. We saw it pay big dividends. When Matt Olson is leading the league in home runs, you got to have a threat behind him. And I'm sorry, but Travis d'Arnaud is not a damn threat. Travis d'Arnaud is a very good professional hitter that can get into one every once in a while and usually gives you good at bat. You don't put that guy behind your biggest offensive threat, which is Matt Olson. I get that Ronald Acuna Jr. may win the MVP and everybody's in love with his numbers, and rightfully so, he's having a hell of a year. But the biggest threat at home plate every night is Matt Olson, and they're going to continue to pitch around him, and why the hell wouldn't you? And you can boo, and you can complain, and you could say they need to pitch to him. No. They need to put Ozuna behind Olson, because if you put Ozuna behind Olson, first of all, his speed's a little better. He's not much faster, but he is a little faster, and he busts it down the line. You very rarely see Ozuna when he's running the bases Cadillacing like a number of other guys on the team. I don't kill them because I know why they do it. They do it because they're being told to do it, because they're being told, hey, it's not worth you blowing out your hamstring and being out several games. Kind of like what we're going through with Ozzy. That's not why Ozzy pulled his hamstring, but you get the point. Now, with all that being said, I'm not by any means trashing Murphy or d'Arnaud. I'm saying that the better offensive threat right now is Marcell Ozuna. And then when a righty is on the mound, I love the idea of putting Eddie right behind Ozuna. And you know that I've been very critical of Eddie Rosario because he's very, very streaky, but when he's hitting well, let's ride the hot bat. When a lefty comes in, Eddie looks outmatched. He looks outmatched every single time. He looked outmatched last night when he faced a lefty. Why they're not putting him in with a 5-0 lead in the middle innings and a lefty on the mound and a chance to maybe add on some runs, you put Pilar in there. Come on, let's go. And if Pilar doesn't get a hit, that's okay. Eddie struck out in the bet that I'm referring to. That's okay because you've got the better defender out there and you've got a lead. You've got a lead. And Kevin Pillar doesn't give away at bats, so you're not worried about some guy just going up there swinging for the downs. But I love the idea of Ozuna, who, if it wasn't for Bryce Elder's performance of one-hit ball, I would have given Ozuna the game ball. Marcell Ozuna was phenomenal last night and gave us great at-bats. He was 2 for 2 with 2 walks, 3 RBIs, a home run. The guy is he is an offensive threat. He's an offensive threat, that's for sure. So, after that, they talked to Elder, asked him about his start, and here we go with that.
I was very pleased with it. It was good to kind of get one like that. Thought the past few weeks I hadn't done as bad as the line was, but it was good to get a whole one in and finish the job.
You mentioned after your last one, wanting to close, wanting to go deeper. Did you feel like you accomplished that tonight the way you were pitching?
Yeah, I think the past couple weeks I would almost like outgroove my groove. I don't want to call it lose focus, but it was like I would get a couple ground balls, and the next thing you know, I'd walk the guy, and I was down 2-0, and it was just happening quick. So tonight, just kind of, even though I walked a few, I thought they were walks in good spots and managed them well. So I was pleased with it.
You had some success with pitching judge. Like, how do you, is it hard to kind of separate who he is and what was your plan with him?
I think what's tough about him is he's so big that, like, the bottom of his zone is like a sinker belt high, and that's not a good thing. Like, it's hard to make a sinker sink at belt high for most people. So, I would love to kind of go at him more just to kind of see. Maybe I wouldn't have, I don't know. But I think that's it. He's a tough at bat for me because of that. You gotta mix and stuff. So it ended up working out. I worked around the walks.
You alluded to it, but how big is that for you to be able to get the ground balls when you need to get those double plays?
It's everything. I think I've been falling behind the past couple weeks, and to get some early ground balls there and just kind of get some action and get the guys behind me back kind of on their toes. I'd kind of, I guess, being out of the zone kind of lulls them to sleep, and I think that they're always making plays for me, but when they know it's going to be on the ground immediately, they're always ready. So I thought it was good.
All right, so yeah, that was Bryce Elder, and he was pretty much talking about the fact that he walked a few guys, but I'm not going to say it was by design, but he didn't want to lay one in there. I get that. I'm still of the school that if you have the lead, don't walk, because if you walk, it can turn into a big inning and then it unravels. If you've got the lead, especially if it's a lead of more than one run. Now, if you got a one-run lead and Aaron Judge is at the plate and you pitch around, I have no issue with that. Tie game, same thing. Even down one, I'm okay with rolling the dice. But when you got a 3-run lead, when you have a 5-run lead, I don't want to be walking guys because I'm not wanting to give them something to hit. Trust your defense. Trust your stuff. Trust your stuff. That's the biggest thing. That'll be the next step that Elder will take, and we'll watch it unfold over the next year or so. He'll start trusting his stuff more. Because a lot of these guys, they feel like that the batter's about to club them when they're not pitching well. What they have to realize, big picture, they've got the advantage. Because first of all, they're Major League Baseball pitchers, which means they've got good stuff. And the other thing, it's the reason why baseball is the most difficult sport in the world to play. Any physicist will tell you this. Trying to hit a round object with a round object that's coming at you, and you don't know which direction, you always have the advantage as the pitcher because you know where you're trying to throw it and what kind of stuff, what velocity. The hitter is reacting. You'll always have the advantage. So there you have that. And then I did want to play Snickers post game for you here in a sec. I thought he had some pretty good insights. And also I thought there was pretty good questions thrown out there. It's funny, we were the sky was falling a week ago. Remember everyone talking about the Braves rotation that had a 6-something ERA? This was in the Pittsburgh series. It was north of 6, and the only one who had a worse ERA, starters ERA, was the Pittsburgh Pirates, who were just north of 6. I want to say at the time that I was referring to, I want to say it was like a 6.03 ERA for the Braves, and the Pirates were 6.12. And we're like, man, this what happened to this pitching staff? And this was a long, extended time. This was since the All-Star break. The last 6 games, starters have given up 8 earned runs, 36 and a third innings. The ERA in just those 6 games, 1.98. 1.98. Now, I'll put an asterisk next to that, just like I put an asterisk next to it last week. Small sample size, and we're playing 2 of the worst offenses in baseball. The Mets and Yankees currently are not what they thought they were going to be. They've got a couple of guys that you have to maneuver around. Judge and Stanton, just like in the New York series. Pretty much, if Lindor or Alonso didn't get you, you weren't getting got. So it's a little easier to navigate that. We want to see this for an extended time. Not that ridiculous. 1.98 is a little absurd. But we want to see a much better ERA from now till the end of the year. From now to the end of September, if that ERA is, for starters, if it's somewhere anywhere close to sub 3, then we'll say from the last 6 games on. If you get a sub 3 ERA from your starters from here till the end of the season, leap for joy. Because that'll take it to the bank. That can get you a World Series championship. I don't expect it to be as great as 1.98. I also don't expect it to be as poor as 6.02, 6.03, whatever it was. We ain't looking for something in the middle either. You don't want a 4 ERA. What I'm looking for is something south of 3. Mid 2s would be outstanding. High 2s, very low 3s you can live with. Because the bullpen's been about as good as anyone in the game. All right, let's hear from Snicker, because I thought there were some interesting things posed to him.
Really good. So I told him afterwards, just kind of look like your old self again, and good for him. Good for him to, keep fighting through things and have a game like that. It's really, feather in his cap to come out and pitch like that.
Talk about how just hitters live off or feed off each other, and I think that feels like that's what pitchers have done since Charlie Down.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, right. It's a good way to put it. But no, I think you're right. I think that, guys, it's like anything else. You keep the line moving offensively. I think you get same thing can be said for, like pitching, bullpen, things like that. The guys feed off each other. I think there's something to that.
3 shutouts in the last 6 starts for the pitching staff in these last 6 games. I mean, that certainly is feeding off of each other.
Yeah, no, and it's I said before, we went through a stretch there early in that last road trip, and just kind of knew the guys are going to hang in there, and they're going to stay after it like the hitters do when things are not going great. And I always say if you handle it, just keep working. There's really good on the back end of it, and don't give into it.
How close to a no-hitter tonight? I mean, that hit came early in the game. But,
yeah, I didn't even. Yeah. Well, it was, and it was good right there. Bryce kept the ball on the ground. I think Dan Kirby turned 4 double plays, which is really good. But just, throwing strikes, trusting his stuff, that's the key to Bryce. And as I say, he was just so good tonight.
For him, I mean, he had the first half he has a lot of success to fall back on, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's good, but like I say, he's a first-year major league starter, too. So he's pulling, what would I say? Pulling the labels or the Oh, God. I know. I say pulling layers off or whatever, is to become, the major leaguer or whatever, and he's experiencing things he's never experienced before. So, that's all things, like I say, he's had some really good to draw back on or fall on. And so it's going to be new experiences all the time, and which is what matures them and makes them good.
Talked a lot about Marcel throughout the year, but is he just kind of like that X factor for any team where you say, I get a good feeling about these guys, but when that other guy steps up, it just makes that team that much better.
Yeah, and he has. And there's and that along that same line is a guy that's hung with himself. He handled things, the adversities, not going the way he knew he was capable of, but he kept working, kept a great attitude, very positive. Like I say, just out there hitting early all the time. Never doubted himself and allowed himself to now all of a sudden he's quietly having a pretty good year.
Was that what kept you and Alex hanging in there with him?
Yeah, pretty much. I just remembered playing against him all those years, and he was always one of those guys that always hit the good pitching. I mean, he was a really good hitter. He was a tough hitter. I remember him the first time I saw him in Orlando. They brought him over at a minor leaguer and hit one over the batter's eye, and he's just been such a dangerous and good player. I mean, he was a Gold Glove outfielder and could really throw at one time and hurt his shoulder. And but he's just, he's just got a lot of really great positivity about him. And I think that's why the guys think the world of him in there, just how he handles things and the person that he is. So it's good to see when things come around for a guy like that.
So there you have that. I thought it was pretty interesting listening to him talk about a couple of different things. The main thing is with Snitker is he's never going to let you know the whole 9 yards behind the scenes, but I think he's looking for a guy that he can trust to come the postseason, right? And a lot of things they're looking at now. The conversation they'll probably have off to the side that they'll never share with the media is what was going through your mind when you're facing Judge on the 2 walks and Stanton. Are you going to be fearful of the big hitters come postseason? Because that's where it can unravel. Because when we face postseason teams, it's not going to be like the Mets and Yankees. I'm telling you, I would be shocked if the Yankees make the playoffs. I know a lot of Yankee fans out there are like, blasphemy, no, this is not New York Yankee baseball. This is not what we've seen in years past. The starting pitching is below average is the nicest thing I can say about that. I never thought they were going to be any good at the beginning of the year. If you go back to our preseason prognostications, I talked about how I didn't think that the Yankees were going to win the division or make the playoffs because where was the starting pitching coming from? This was after we found out about the injury to Rodon. Because they were basing a lot of stuff off of Nestor Cortez being Nestor Cortez. Nestor Cortez was a fluke, a flash in the pan. He's a junk ball pitcher that had a really good season last year. But the book's out on Nestor Cortez. He struggled mightily. I think he's battling an injury now. But you just look at the starting rotation. It's worse than we thought it was going to be. Severino was supposed to be a solid starter in Major League Baseball this year. You could have made the argument at times last year he was the Yankees' best pitcher in given weeks. Garrett Cole top to bottom yet, but there were times where Severino over the last several years has been phenomenal. He's very hittable. He still has an incredible fastball. I don't know what's going on with him health-wise and whatnot, but what I saw last night, really ought to think about long-term Severino. Man, would that be an incredible bullpen piece. He's not fooling anybody several times through the lineup. But in his defense, he gave up the home run. It's not like he got beat around the entire outing. But he still has an elite fastball. He dialed it up to 99 a few times, consistently at 97. But the Yankees' offense Mets offense, that's not what we're going to see come October. You're going to see guys come out there, batting lineups, that's going to be one grind after another, and you can't walk guys. If you walk guys in the postseason, you will lose. It happens every single year. So I want to see Elder be a little more aggressive in the next outings, but all in all, you love what he did. 7 innings. He gave us 7 innings. That's phenomenal, considering the fact that this is the last day of a 14. I know I've said it probably a million times, but look, it's a big deal. In August, late in the season, 14 games in 13 days without a day off. We're finally going to get one tomorrow. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So there you have that, and very, very pleased with what the Braves did last night. I know it wasn't an offensive explosion. We had the 2 home runs, which was fun, but 6 hits, 5-0. That kind of just went across the box score, and no one went crazy and saw anything about it. But if you think about the fact that we threw a one-hitter, pretty good stuff by Elder and company. He came in. Minter came in. No hits allowed. Yates came in. No hits allowed. They did both walk a batter. I don't love that. But they did pitch scoreless innings. They weren't clean innings, but they were scoreless innings. Minter's still struggling with his command a little bit. Yates is just trying to get the batter to chase his splitter when he's behind in the count. And I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. Yates has to understand he's going to have to be ahead in the count for them to bite on that splitter. It's not that good of a splitter. So, all in all, you love what happened. And if you did miss the broadcast last night, first of all, what in the hell's wrong with you? No, I'm joking. We gave the game ball to Elder because you don't see a lot of one-hitters. And it was needed. Tonight's Charlie Morton. More on that here in a second. We're going to give you our predictions, pick to click, the score, all of that in a flash. Keep it locked in here on Braves Country today.
Well, the season's finally here, and the players hit.
The Armchair Quarterbacks are back. Saturday, September 9th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., you'll be tailgating with the Armchair Quarterbacks. Mac McGee, Brian Snow, Joey Antones, and the rest of the Armchair Quarterbacks live, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Saturdays this fall, talking college football, SEC, ACC, Big Ten, the NFL, fantasy football advice, and our picks against the spread. It all begins September 9th, right here on Braves Country HD and 99.1 FM WQEE.
Yeah, the armchair quarterback, the all-American man.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes 1 free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Braves Country today. We're talking Southern sports. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Braves Country today. Southern sports talk with the voice of Braves Country baseball, Mac McGee. Joined every day from sports analysts from all over Braves Country, talking college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and what's trending in the world of sports. Braves Country today. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE.
And here's for helping me install a much-needed and much-appreciated garbage disposal in my bathtub.
You have a garbage disposal in your bathtub?
Oh, yeah, and I use it all the time. Yeah, I made this whole meal in there.
This food was in the shower with you?
Mm-hmm. I prepared it as I bathed.
You're in Braves country.
All right, Braves country. Get it. Time to make some predictions. Your Atlanta Braves going to take on the Yankees. Look, I believe that, do you believe in miracles? Yeah, I believe Charlie Morton's going to go out and have a good night tonight. I like the fact that their two most dangerous hitters of the New York Yankees are right-handers. Which is, how stupid is that to build your team around? As Yankees, if you're familiar with the Yankee organization, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Mickey Mantle, they all swatted from the left side of the plate. I know there was Joe DiMaggio. What about Reggie Jackson? The Yankees have always had boppers from the left side, and when they built Yankee Stadium years and years and years and years ago, the original, along with the current, including the one in the middle, they all had short porches on the left field line. So goofy. Yeah, they tried to sign guys like Rizzo, but come on. Come on! If the Yankees want to get back to being the Yankees, they got to get a left-handed bopper. They've got to mix in there with Judge. If you could get a big left-handed stick to go in between Judge and Stanton, holy crap, Batman, what an offense you could build. That's got to be, if nothing else, the Yankees, and I'm not the biggest fan of his because I believe he's a little overhyped and he's going to be well overpaid, but a guy like Juan Soto, where you at, New York? Make it happen. He would love being in the limelight in New York. He eats that up. And he would be protected by Stanton behind him in the lineup. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The fact that the majority of their sticks, they're good sticks. Even Gleyber Torres is a right-handed batter. DJ LeMay, like it's such a right-handed batter. And Charlie Morton, I think, will have a pretty good outing. I'm not expecting the moon and the stars, but I think Charlie Morton will go out there and give us a quality start, meaning 6 innings or more, 3 innings or less, for those of y'all who are not familiar with the terminology. I think he'll give us a quality start. I think Atlanta will score some runs. We were held to 5 last night. That's ridiculous. Let's get it back up. Spoiled. We're spoiled. Give me the Atlanta Braves rocking and rolling tonight in Atlanta. Get the brooms out. Let's get them warmed up. We almost got the brooms out in the Mets series. Let's get the brooms out in this series. Randy Vasquez, it's so weird. They went back and forth on whether he was going to pitch or not. Well, he's going to pitch. I don't really understand that whole thing. But they put a TBD on him. But it was Vasquez for 4 days leading into this. And then late last night, they put a TBD into this morning. And then I saw this afternoon back to Vasquez. Who knows? They might change it one more time. But regardless, I don't expect him to go super deep. If you're a Yankee fan, you're expecting Vasquez. Although I'll tell you what, Vasquez has been very good. So let's not scoff at him. But he's a 4 to 5 inning guy if things are going well. The Marlins did put 2 up on him in 3 2/3 his last time out on Friday. Before that, scoreless against Baltimore, scoreless against the White Sox. And way back in May, he went 4 2/3 and 2 against the Padres. I mean, I think he's a little undervalued, but I also believe that the Braves will get to him the second time through the order. He probably won't see the third time through the order. The Braves are going to put some runs up on the board. But Vasquez, if he's on, has good stuff, so I'm not expecting him to blow him out of the water. Give me the Braves to win tonight. Fairly comfortable. Let's go 7-3. 7-3 Atlanta. And my pick to click tonight has been suspiciously quiet in this series. I feel like Ronald Acuna Jr. is due. Outside of that home run, I want to see him. I want to see Acuna, if he's going to make this push for the MVP. It really is between him and Olsen. I don't care about what anybody says. If he's going to make the push for the MVP, Acuna, I'd like to see him get a stolen base tonight. Haven't seen that in a minute. I'd like to see him get on base 2 times or more. So give me Acuna to click on and get his average back over 340. He's been hovering underneath it past couple of days at 338 going into tonight. Let's get a couple of hits and get him back over 340. Not that 338 is shabby, but give me Ronald Acuna to click tonight, and Braves win it going away. We've got the day off tomorrow, so the entire bullpen's essentially ready to rock. I think you will see eyeglasses come hell or high water tonight. They're going to want to get him some work. Unless it's just an absolute blowout, then they may give him rest. But I think he'll probably get an appearance. I mean, there's a couple of guys who've had several days off. Now, look, they've needed it, and that's great. And the Braves' offense really came through in the last half of this part of the 14-game stretch. Last 7 games, they've really come through, and we haven't had to use them, which is awesome. But with them having tomorrow off, we don't play again until Friday. I think you're going to see whoever they need, they'll bring out. And, I mean, we haven't even seen Brad Hand in several days. We haven't seen Iglesias. We haven't seen a few guys. So there you have that. All right. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're doing something different on our Once Upon a Pastime series. We're going to have fun with this one. The most unfortunate names in baseball, or at least the top 10. I just picked 10, okay? You're going to have some fun with this. We're going to have some fun. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country today.
You're in Braves Country.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia. Home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes 1 free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Hey, Braves Country! Braves Country HD is bringing you Braves Country Baseball. Braves Country comes to you every Tuesday night and Friday night, and 2 bonus games every week. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we'll be bringing you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves. It's free to listen. Please like and subscribe. YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country Baseball, for the fans, by the fans.
Here's good news. There's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
Braves Country today. We're talking Southern sports. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Braves Country today, Southern sports talk with the voice of Braves Country baseball, Mac McGee. Joined every day from sports analysts from all over Braves Country, talking college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and what's trending in the world of sports. Braves Country today. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
You're in Braves Country.
All right. Let's have some fun today. I know that a lot of times on our Once Upon a Pastime series, we get in and we get into the nuts and bolts of the history of the game, and we really have deeper looks at things that a lot of folks aren't familiar with. Today we're going to have fun with maybe some names you're not familiar with. And these are the most unfortunate names in Major League Baseball, or in baseball history. They didn't all make the majors. But some folks gave me some suggestions, so I'm running with the top 10. We'll probably do this again. So if you've got suggestions, shoot them to me. But we grabbed the 10 that we like the most, and we're counting them up 10-1. Yeah, you want to stick around for as it gets higher and higher. The first one that we're going to go with is Clyde Klutz. Now, these are the cleaner names. As we get higher and higher, you're going to hear these names. You're going to be like, that was someone's name? That was someone's legit. These are people's legitimate names. This is not some nickname. These are their legitimately God-given names, right? They're surnames. These are the names that their parents decide to hand to them and spend the rest of their life with. So Clyde Klutz was a journeyman catcher. He turned scout later on and convinced Charlie Finley to pay North Carolina pitcher Jimmy Hunter $50,000 to sign with the A's in '64. These are just some of his highlights. A decade later, Klutz, then a super scout with the Yankees, persuaded All-Star, now known as Catfish Hunter, to accept a contract with the Yankees in the first of a flood of free agent contracts. Clyde Klutz earned a World Series ring with the 1946 Cardinals. From 1942 to 1947, he spent time with the Boston Braves. One of the reasons why we started off with them, because you got to have a Brave in here. The New York Giants and the Pittsburgh Pirates as well. After 2 years in AAA, he spent 1951 with the St. Louis Browns and the Washington Senators before his big league career ended in 1952. So nothing great about Clyde's numbers. There was a sports columnist in Jim Murray that wrote, Clyde was shopped around, usually landing on teams that had a whole lot of dugout room for Clyde Klutz. In addition to managing in the minors and scouting for the A's, Klutz scouted for and was the director of player personnel for the Yankees, the Orioles, before he passed away in 1979. Klutz was from Rockwell, North Carolina, born in 1917. And so that's a kind of a look at Clyde Klutz. Yes, there is a baseball card out there with him. I don't have the current monetary amount for it, but it's always a favorite for fans to talk about Clyde Klutz. You think about a baseball player, you think about them having to be light on their feet, having to be anything but a klutz, and they named him Clyde Klutz, and for whatever reason he went into baseball, but was a hell of a scout. So there you have Clyde Klutz. All right, number 2 on the list. This is another unfortunate name, as we head to Ronald McDonald. Ronald McDonald is a name in which, yes, spelled the exact same way, nothing different, nothing where you're going, well, yeah, but no. He was named Ronald McDonald. He was drafted by the Mets organization in I believe he was drafted in 1977. So 1977, 17th round in the Mets organization. He did play a little A-ball in 1977, played in 69 games. Now, he never made it to the majors. He made it as high as AAA, but he did have baseball cards, because when you get to that high, in fact, he was at Tidewater AAA 1980, 81, and 82. So they make these cards for you in case you get called up. So the card you're looking at right there on the screen is Ronald McDonald from the 1978. I'm sorry. This is the 1981 card. So you got the 1981 card, Ronald McDonald. He even did some photo ops where he was taking pictures with the clown Ronald McDonald from the famous fast food chain. And McDonald was born in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He was an infielder, primarily second base. He did start trying to learn first base for Tidewater in 80, 81, 82. He played quite a bit of first base. Something happened with the New York Mets at first base that blocked his... Oh, yeah. So you look at his numbers in 80, 81, 82. He wasn't a power hitter, but he was hitting... He averaged in those years hitting about 275. he had in those 3 seasons, he had about 140 RBI. So a solid first baseman. But right around that time period, before he could go to the next level, some guy by the name of Keith Hernandez was traded from the New York Mets, or from the Cardinals to the Mets, and that was the end of him. So highest he got to was Tidewater Tides. He played for the Jackson Mets in 79, the Lynchburg Mets in 78, and the Little Fall Mets in 1977. So there you have Ronald McDonald. I thought that was a pretty funny one. They get better. Trust me, they get better. But these are the most unfortunate names in baseball history. If you're just joining us, number 1, Clyde Klutz. Number 2, Ronald McDonald. Number 3 on the list, as I get that pulled up here. And most people remember this man, but for a starting pitcher, or a pitcher period, in the world of baseball, for someone to name you Homer Bailey, and then you decide you're going to be a pitcher and not a hitter. Now, Homer Bailey was actually a pretty good player. But that is the last thing you want to be known as is Homer, right? Homer Bailey was actually, now this was an actual nickname. It was David DeWitt. Most of these guys, it was their God-given name. But this is David DeWitt Bailey, Homer Bailey. He was given the nickname from when, after his great-grandfather, who attended LaGrange High School in LaGrange, Texas, one of the more famous high schools in Texas sports. During a 2004 baseball game, Bailey won 15 games and lost none. But he was given the name after his great-grandfather, who was nicknamed Homer Bailey. Homer. So he got that nickname basically because of his grandfather was nicknamed Homer Bailey, but he decided to become a pitcher, and it was a really good pitcher, to be honest with you. So 15-0. He had a .68 ERA. USA Today named Homer Bailey the member of the All-USA High School baseball team. And in 2004, the Reds selected Bailey with the 7th pick in the first round. Highly touted. Played for the Reds from 2007 to 2018, and then bounced around with the Royals, A's, and Twins to finish out his career. Here's the thing about Homer Bailey that you may or may not remember. Homer Bailey pitched 2 no-hitters, 2012 and 2013. I remember the first time he pitched the no-hitter, we were like, man, maybe he is pretty good. Then he pitched the second one, like, why did they name him Homer? They should have renamed him No-No Bailey. In fact, we used to joke around about that on the old Armchair Quarterbacks radio show. He would come up for a start. We'd be talking about the game, and someone this is beginning of Armchair Quarterback Radio. The second run, the first run was in the 90s, early 2000s. But someone would mention Homer Bailey's on the mound today. I was like, you mean No Bailey? That he's about to throw another no-hitter. So Homer Bailey, pretty darn good pitcher, but finishes with an ERA of 4.56, only 81 wins. He was a guy that when you look at his statistics up and down for his career, obviously the 2 no-hitter years, 12 and 13, are highlights for him. No matter if he did anything else, those are highlights for him. But from 2012 to 2014, he won 33 games and had an ERA of just south of 360. In that time span as well, this is another thing that I think he gets forgotten about. In that time span as well, there's 3 years, he had 500 strikeouts. So there was a pocket in time where Homer Bailey, or as I like to call him, No Bailey, was actually a pretty darn good pitcher. But just a misfortunate name. I mean, is all get out for a starting pitcher, for a pitcher in Major League Baseball. And I would say that's the worst. That you don't want to be known as Homer. And then we go to our next guy, and you'll remember him as well because he's not been out of the game that long. The rest, I'd say, are a little more obscure. But the next guy on the list is, as I pull him up, Grant Balfour. And Grant Balfour, now he pitched, pull this up real quick. Grant Balfour, I think most people would remember him, honestly, from when his days in Tampa Bay. But Balfour, to me, was a guy that he's known for a few things. Okay, first of all, there we go. There's Balfour celebrating with the A's. Grant Balfour is known for a couple of things. First of all, he was pretty darn good reliever for a long period of time. He played from the Twins from 01 to 04. Then with the Brewers in 07, he was up and down out of the minors. Played for the Devil Rays, as they were known at the time, from 2007 to 2010. And then the Oakland A's is the picture you'll see, we'll explain here in a second, from 2011 to 2013. Tampa Bay, once again, his second stint with them in 2014, 2015. Now, Grant Balfour was, the biggest thing that I remember about him is Balfour had he had a fiery competitiveness in him. He would stare like a hole through you. Grant Balfour, when you look at some of his statistics, and you talk about a guy who actually would step up in big moments. Balfour for Oakland, and this is when Oakland was pretty good. Everyone thinks the Oakland A's sucked for 100 years. Oakland was actually pretty good in the 2010s. In 2012, he had 24 saves. In 2013, he had 38 saves. Grant Balfour was also an all-star in 2013. But if you're not looking at the screen, you hear me keep saying Balfour, it's spelled as Balfour. Balfour. He pronounces it Balfour for good reasons if you're going to be a pitcher, but it is spelled as Balfour. When he used to walk a guy, we used to yell that out. He was known to shout at himself on the mound. I'm talking about, he would get into like screaming matches with himself, using profanity to fire himself up. So if you walk somebody or whatnot, he was known to just curse himself out on the mound. Like you would see it and you'd be like, what the hell is he doing? And he would, I'm going to clean it up a little bit, but he'd say, get it together. What are you, nuts? You suck. Come on, you can do better. He would do that kind of thing, but you could visibly see it. So that's the biggest thing that I remember him from is he would give himself a talking to. I remember hearing a pitching coach one time saying, they asked him if they thought about going out there and talk talking to him in a tough spot in the game, they said, no, I think that he gave himself a much better pep talk than I could have. And the clip they showed was him. I mean, he might as well have been grabbing himself and throwing himself up against the wall. He was screaming at himself so vividly. He got into it with Orlando Cabrera, if you remember him. Cabrera kicked the dirt in front of the batter's box in the direction of the pitcher's mound one time, and according to Ball 4, as I always like to call him, Cabrera told him to throw it over the plate. Unaware of Ball 4's behavior while pitching, Cabrera was under the impression that he was the one being yelled at. So Orlando Cabrera goes at him. This is when Cabrera's playing for the White Sox. Goes at him because he's cussing himself on the mound. And he goes, well, then throw it over the plate. He's having an argument with a guy who's having an argument with himself. I'll never forget that because the clip of it, oh, my God, like I was in stitches of it. The at-bat continued, and it ended up with Cabrera striking out. Ball 4 stormed off the mound yelling at Cabrera at that time as he walked to the dugout, and Ball 4 stated after the game that he told Cabrera to go sit down after he told him to throw it over the plate. So there was no further incidents between the two because after the game, someone told Cabrera, hey, did you know that he curses himself on the mound? He goes, no, what? So the whole thing was squashed and it was laughed about. So he was a part of the Tampa Bay Rays in the second stint. Now with Oakland in Game 3 of the ALDS, Ball 4 became, I've got to bring this up again, he began cursing at Victor Martinez, who then answered back, leading to both benches clearing. This is in the ALDS. This is a very famous one. And the picture you're seeing of them celebrating was them clinching a playoff spot, him and his catcher for the Oakland A's. But Ball 4, he was an absolute character. And I miss characters like that. I know more will come along, but he was a riot. Okay, that is a very good place to take a real quick break. When we come back, these names get much better. I don't know if the stories get better than Grant Ball 4, or I'm sure he'd probably cuss at me and say it's Balfour, but the names take it up a notch. We'll be back in a flash here on Once Upon a Pastime series, Braves Country HD.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Hey, Braves Country. Braves Country HD is bringing you Braves Country Baseball. Braves Country comes to you every Tuesday night and Friday night and 2 bonus games every week. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we'll be bringing you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves. It's free to listen. Please like and subscribe. YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country Baseball for the fans, by the fans.
Here's good news. There's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
Braves Country today. We're talking Southern sports. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Braves Country today, Southern sports talk with the voice of Braves Country baseball, Mac McGee. Joined every day from sports analysts from all over Braves Country, talking college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and what's trending in the world of sports. Braves Country today. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Welcome back. And the next one you may or may not see on your screen right now is Richard Henry Pohl, known as Dick Pohl. This is not a joke. This is clean as can be, but he went by Dick, as most Richards do. And Mr. Pohl was a baseball player in the Boston Red Sox organization. Played for the Red Sox in 72, 73, 74, all the way to 1978. And he was a pitcher. I mean, he saw some things, didn't he? If he played for the Red Sox in the 70s, he was a part of that team. Yaz hitting the ball down the line in Game 6 of the World Series. You know, they call it the Yaz Poll. You can think of some other funny things they could have done with his name, with the with him hitting the pull down the left field line that sent the game to Game 7 that the Red Sox eventually lost, but one of the most famous home runs in the history of baseball. Now, Dick Pohl actually, in his 6 years, he was 25 and 37, pitched a lot of relief, never threw more than 120 innings in a season, which back then was low. Believe it or not, kiddies, as you gather around the radio, there was a day and time where 120 innings was very low. But he had an ERA lifetime just north of 505. He had a 531 innings total pitch and a whip of 1.537. So he wasn't a great pitcher. He's from Trout Creek, Michigan. But one of the more colorful names in the history of baseball, and a lot of collectors love collecting his baseball card because of the funny name. And his last appearance actually was in 78 with the Seattle Mariners, but he played most of his career with the Boston Red Sox from 73 to 76, and then with Seattle from 77 to 78. And then after that, he became a coach in the Cubs minor league organization in 83, joined their major league staff in 88. I actually remember him more as a coach. I remember wait, what is his name? This is for Google. You're like, I think I heard that wrong. He worked for Don Zimmer in 88, 89 with the Cubs, and remained in that capacity through 1991. He was one of the guys that helped develop Greg Maddux. So, and Maddux actually credits Pohl for a lot of his success. It's one of the reasons why I'm more familiar with his name than I think a lot of people would be, just because Maddux has mentioned him several times. In fact, there's a quote from Maddux that says, I remember when Dick Pohl told me one day, why don't you stop trying to strike guys out? Just try to get them out, and you'll probably strike out as many guys, if not more. He went on to say he was right. I've always tried with 2 strikes just to make a pitch and get the guy out. You get a lot of strikeouts just on accident. And so, and really, if you think about it, that was Greg Maddux's entire mindset of his career. I remember the famous line, he was asked by a reporter one time, would you consider, I don't remember if they called it perfect game or whatever term they used, but basically said, if you could dream of one game that you go out there and pitch, would it be 27 strikeouts? And Maddux said, absolutely not. It'd be 27 pitches. All of them would be dribblers over to first base where the first baseman steps on the bag and I don't have to move. That changed his mindset, and he credits that to one Richard Dick Pohl. So there you have that. Here's another one that I'd say most people aren't familiar with because he played so long ago. But this is about as funny as it gets. As when I saw this name, I was like, what? Someone named this guy this? What are we talking about here? Now, honestly, it's not his first name that makes you laugh. It's his last name. You'd think at some point you change your last name. The family changes the last name. This man's name was Doug McWeeny. I mean, this sounds like something we make up as a moniker, to make fun of someone who's, doesn't have the guts to go do something. Oh, look at old Doug McWeeny go. You know what I mean? Like this is a real name. You imagine having to go through life signing that, but also you got to put your name down for a table. Back in the day, now they text you and whatever. We got a 4-top for Mr. McWeeny. Mr. McWeeny, a 4-top. Like, what? Heck no. First of all, I'm giving them my first name. They go, we need your second. I go, you absolutely do not need my second name. Doug McWeeny he's such a, I think it's the funniest one to me in real, just when you think about, that's his last name. 4.17 ERA, lifetime. Born in Chicago, Illinois in 1896. He played for the Chicago White Sox. He also played for Brooklyn. Now, this is the 1920s. He finished his career at the Cincinnati Redlegs in 1930. By then, they were known as the Reds. But he was on the White Sox in 21. He was on Brooklyn. Now, that was a bad Brooklyn team in the 20s. And the White Sox team was pretty bad because, remember, that was right after the Black Sox scandal. So he's taken the mound after this White Sox team had thrown the World Series, and he's going out there. And this is in the heyday. This is just past the dead ball era. So you still got low-scoring games. He's out there firing a 6.08 ERA, 5.91 in 1922, 4.57 in 1924. His career ERA is 4.17, but he had some stinkers. Can you imagine you're on the mound for the Chicago White Sox in 1921, right after the Black Sox had been kicked out of the league by like 1 year, right? And you're firing a 6.08 ERA. There's got to be people sitting in the stands going, he's on the take. But Doug McWeeny, who was born in Chicago, played for the Brooklyn. Now, at the time, they were the Brooklyn Robins, but it was the Dodgers organization. And his nickname, this to me, that makes it even funnier. He worked at a gas station, service station in the off season, as a lot of players did side jobs because they didn't get paid a whole lot. His nickname was Buzz. You imagine doing a game, Buzz McWeeny coming out of the bullpen. Buzz McWeeny. So it wasn't just it was Doug. His nickname became Buzz. I mean, if I was going to pick the nickname and I was Doug, I'd have been like, my first name ought to be, or my nickname ought to be, Don't Call Me. Don't call me McWeeny. But Buzz McWeeny, there you have that, played for the White Sox, primarily the Robins. White Sox and Robins did have a small stint with the Reds in 1930. So probably not as funny to folks back then. The English language changes, all that kind of stuff. But there you have Buzz McWeeny. Get out of here. All right. The next one up on the docket. So you go Doug McWeeny. This one is, I remember this one specifically. I grabbed this one because there's a clip that we even play during our baseball games where Harry Carey is referring to him. And if you look at his name, Doug's first or last name is GWOSDZ. So if you're looking at it, you're trying to spell it. What is it? Gwadzitz? What's it? What is his name? It's Goosh. You pronounce it Doug Goosh. And Goosh, his nickname, because if you look at that GWOSDZ, it doesn't look like a word. What else doesn't look like words when they're jammed together like that? iChart. So his nickname was iChart. And I remember hearing his nickname. I never really knew his name as a kid growing up, but I knew his nickname growing up. He was born in 1960 from Houston, Texas. Debuted with the Padres in 1981. And his last appearance, now this is sad, with the Padres, was September 24th of 1984. That's the end of the season. That team went on to go win the pennant and play in the World Series. That team beat the Chicago Cubs, which is kind of funny because our number one guy made it to the World Series that year as well. So you would have had Goosh iChart versus our number one guy. We'll get to him in a minute. but didn't have much of a career. Gooch lifetime 1.44 ERA. He was a catcher. Heck, back in those days, I was actually a solid hitter for a catcher. Catchers were awful behind at the dish. I mean, they're not elite today, but they were absolutely awful back then because they caught almost every day, and their careers just were junk normally at the end because the wear and tear it took on their knees. That's why what Yogi Berra did is just phenomenal for that many years. Johnny Bench, for that matter. Back then, they didn't think about it. You think they ever did we're going to take a day off? Well, you caught the night game, so you can't catch the day game. Doubleheader. No, they would catch doubleheaders. They didn't care. They thought that was all nonsense. They always looked at, it's not what today's medicine is, but back then it was whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's not really true when it comes to tendons in the knees and whatnot, but that was the theory back then. This is the whole reason why we were drinking, spigot water out of rusty spigots growing up in Generation X. Why we would spend all day outside. Parents would lock you out of the house. Go have fun. Come back 10 hours later in the hot sun. Probably, I don't know how many of us probably had heat strokes and never realized it. It would explain a lot in my case. But Doug Gooch, or iChart as he's known, that was our number 4 guy. Okay, going to take a really quick break this time. When we come back to top 3, you're not going to want to miss this. These are some funny ones. These are some really good ones here. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country's Once Upon a Pastime series, the most unfortunate names in the history of baseball. Braves Country today. We're talking Southern sports. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE. Braves Country today, Southern sports talk with the voice of Braves Country baseball, Mac McGee. Joined every day from sports analysts from all over Braves Country, talking college football, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and what's trending in the world of sports. Braves Country today. We go live 3 to 5 weekdays right here on WQEE.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey, and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Here's good news. There's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
You're in Braves Country.
All right, the top 3. And these are some pretty good ones. These were suggested to me. So don't shoot the messenger. But there are some pretty funny ones. And the last one, the number 1, it's actually mispronounced. So we get off on that. But you'll see how it's spelt and you'll understand why everybody laughs about it. All right, number 3, as you can see, Pirates outfielder, Kid you not, this man played for the Pittsburgh Pirates organization from 1936 to 1939. And none other than Johnny Dickshot. And if that doesn't sound like something you would call someone or say, or just use as a nickname to bunch of your buddies roughhousing. How do these guys keep these last names and not change them? Lord, I hope there's not a great-grandson, great-granddaughter with that name. Hopefully they put an end to that nickname or that last name somewhere around the 1940s or 50s. They said, we got to change this. Let's call it Moonshot. Let's do anything. I guess that could be funny as well if you really think about it. But Johnny Dickshot, 7 home runs total. It's always funny. These guys with the terrible names are never good players. 7 home runs total in his career. 990 at-bats. They had some bad names in Illinois. From Waukegan, Illinois, born in 1910. What's the deal with a lot of these goofy names? These people are born in the Illinois area. Might have to ask our Chicago guys about that. Lifetime batting average of .276, 116 RBIs. Not a lot to say about his career. I tried to find some stuff. What's even funnier is his nickname. So if Johnny Dickshot wasn't a funny enough nickname, his nickname was Ugly. So is Ugly Dickshot. What? This was a name that he walked around with? I'd be calling those fighting words. But anyways, played for the Pirates, the Giants, the New York Giants, the Chicago White Sox. He also spent many years, 1930 to 1947, in minor league baseball. You can see him on the screen. I mean, I don't really see it, but they said that he got the nickname to be the ugliest man in baseball during his career. I mean, it's not like he's got a... I don't see what makes him much more uglier than me or the next man, but whatever. Maybe it was self-deprecating humor. Maybe he wanted people to not pay attention to his last name. No, man, just call me ugly. I'll take that any day of the week. And so he was... this is unreal. He was born in Illinois, and his last name was originally Dicksus. You pronounce that however you want. I'm not going to spell that or say that. But his father was a foreman in a local steam mill, and when timekeepers misheard his last name, referred to it as Dick Shot. The family adopted the new surname, and the rest is history. What? How about just change the name altogether? And so there you have Johnny Dickshot. There's not a whole lot on his career outside of that. According to one story told about him, a fan in Little Rock asked to shake his hand and approached the stands telling him, "I want my wife to see you so she'll appreciate me," jokingly. Dickshot had a sense of humor about it and said, "Don't mind my looks, I've got personality." When people joked about his looks while he was with the Giants, he would say, "Boys, I'm like a mountain, big, rugged, and in my own way beautiful." But once again, you see the picture. I mean, it's not like for folks who are listening on radio, it's not like it's some farming accident. It's like he's like a normal guy. whatever. Evidently, I guess if you're going to have a name like that, you got to have one heck of a sense of humor. Speaking of that, we go on to our number 2 guy. And this guy, this one isn't as crazy that he kept the name. Although, considering nowadays and the connotation that it could be taken from, his name was spelled Pete, L-A, capital C-O-C-K. So you can imagine how Pete Lecoq was probably made fun of because he came up and played in the 70s. That's not that long ago. I don't know how his family kept this surname this whole time, but they did. Now, he was a little better player. Lifetime 257 average, 27 home runs. Here's the dumbfounding thing about him. He was born in Burbank, California. It's right there in the heart of Hollywood. You would think in Hollywood you'd be a little more aware of your branding and would change the name, but he did not. He was drafted by the Cubs in 1970. He in the Texas League, by the way, in 70, he led the Texas League with 85 bases on balls. And so he could work the count is essentially what he was known for. The next year for the San Antonio Missions at the next level, he led the league with 93 bases on balls. And 72 did it again for the Midland Cubs. He was promoted to the major leagues where he played for the Cubs from 72 to 76 and the Royals from 77 to 80. Played in Japan in 1981. So 77 to 80, Kansas City Royals, you think about it, those were some pretty darn good teams. That was in the heyday of the Royals-Yankees rivalry. And routinely, Pete Lecoq came to the plate and people talked about him and said his name and no one thought about it. We laugh about it now, but it wasn't looked upon as a big deal in the 70s, but it was still, there still had to have been a snicker here and there. But he played for the Royals 77, 78, 79, and 80. I know the Cubs in the early 70s were not a very good baseball team. But the Royals, they had a pretty good team. He primarily played first base and outfield. And there you have him. He passed away at the age of 71. Not that's got anything to do with the story, but just want to put a cap on it. So that's our number 2 guy that was voted on. So who's number 1? I should have had a drum roll for this. You probably know who it is. If you follow, especially if you follow baseball cards, you're probably aware of this man because people love making jokes about him. And there he is. It is spelt Kuntz. Kuntz is his last name. Rusty is his first name. Now, we will not mispronounce his name. It's Rusty Kuntz as it's pronounced. But you can imagine the jokes that go around for Mr. Rusty Kuntz. And I will try like heck to not mispronounce his name as it is always mispronounced in jokes and whatnot. He played for those 1984 Tigers. I was just talking about a second ago how iChart was on the 84 Padres. You almost had iChart and Rusty Kuntz going head-to-head in the World Series. Now, for good reason, iChart was left off the team. Wasn't a very good hitter, wasn't a very good batter. But Rusty Kuntz, outfielder, he actually got the game-winning RBI in Game 5, the decisive game of the 1984 World Series. That's pretty cool. I read that earlier today when I was getting ready for this show. And someone had brought it up, and I double-checked and go, yeah, sure enough. He hit a pop fly to the second baseman that became the game-winning RBI for the 84 championship. He was also a coach for the 2015 Kansas City Royals and is currently a coach for the Royals. He's got 2 World Series rings. Played for the White Sox from 79 to 83. Played for the Twins in 1983. And has been coaching for the Royals for well over a decade and a half. And when you look at the fact that, you know, the guy is by the way, for those in the Middle Tennessee area, he at one point, there's a card you can get for him, played for the Nashville Sounds in 1985. There's a baseball card of Rusty Kuntz from the Nashville Sounds in 85. I would love to have that card. I haven't been able to find it, but I would love to have that card. But, yeah. So he finished his playing career in 85 with the Tigers. But all in all, pretty darn good playing career. Very good, very long coaching career. And all in all, when you're a 2-time World Series champion, one as a player, one as a coach, you've had a hell of a career. So Rusty Kuntz, as it's pronounced, get your mind out of the gutter. Even though we put it there. He's 68 as of recording this show. And he was originally born in Orange, California, but there you have Rusty Kuntz, who was voted as the funniest of all the most unfortunate names in baseball history. And there's a lot more we'll probably get into down the road, and I'd love to hear everyone's. We just threw the top 10 together really quick. Probably could have done a deeper dive. There's a couple that come into my mind right now, but we'll probably say that for another show. But there you have it. Most unfortunate names from Clyde Klutz to Rusty Kuntz. And a shout out to Dick Pole and Johnny Dickshot. I mean, what in the world? Y'all have a great day. Braves country. This is Once Upon a Pastime series. Hope y'all enjoyed it because I know we do.
You're in Braves country.
Goodbye, sweetheart, well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart, goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same back time, same back channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country Baseball. With Mac McGee, we're proud to bring you year number 3. Braves Country Baseball comes your way Tuesdays and Friday nights and 2 more bonus games for a total of 4 games a week. You can also catch Braves Country, our daily sports talk show. We go live 3 to 5, 99.1 FM WQEE, Metro Atlanta. Other CBS, ESPN, and independent affiliates nationwide, and simulcast on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Find Braves Country HD today wherever you stream. your first choice for Southern sports and the deepest bench in sports talk.
Something of the 5th of September. Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something